He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that proves that old habits die hard. We just can't quit. We're here 3 days a week, damn it. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
It's a good day for it, apparently. But yes,
yes.
I am the other guy, the other co-host, the one whose voice makes you feel safe when you're jogging at night. It's me, it's Niall McGowan.
Oh, it makes me feel safe.
Yeah. It's like that.
Okay. I'll have you in my ear every time I go for a jog. Then I'll get you to call me by Skype. Oh no, let's hit the zeitgeist. Call me by Zoom.
Ooh, let's not go down that road. But the boom of Zoom to me is just like, why are people so into this? Because it's like Skype, but it only has a 45-minute window. It's like, is that better? Like, how is this a thing? But everybody uses it now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, we are joined by two very, very special guests. First up, we are joined by Johnie Powers from the Austin Powers Minute and the DC Cinematic Minute.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. When were you last on? I'm trying to think what minute you had.
There were penguin minutes.
I think it was Penguin in the graveyard, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
And Batman's idle cruising and just nosing in at him as he was
just being real creepy, doing his thing.
yeah. That's how Batman be.
Hell yeah. And we are also joined by another familiar voice. It is Brady Crane of Pele Media.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me back, guys. And for the record, Niall, yes, your voice does make me feel safer when I'm jogging at night.
Oh, nice. I should tell people, do not depend on me during a crisis, because I will be the first one out of there. But if it makes you feel safe, as long as I don't have to do anything, then that's perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Niall has just, crucified himself right there. Everyone's going to hate him all over the internet. You're cancelled.
I know.
Niall.
I thought we could count on you.
Yeah. Niall is cancelled. And on that bombshell, anyway, we will start the minute. This is minute 97, and it starts with Bruce waking up from a massive bender. He's been hitting the town, drinking all weekend, or something like that. And it ends with a lovely new sofa.
This is the beginning now of like Bruce waking up and being like, Alfred, I had the strangest dream as I was getting sent riddles by Ace Ventura, and Harvey Dent killed some trapeze artist, but he was white for some reason, and there was some friggin' 30-year-old moocher just hanging around the mansion, and every time I tried to talk to him, he acted like a total dick. Dick. Wait a minute. Dick. Yes, sir, I'm afraid it's all true. The last 96 minutes have been quite trying for you. It was all real. Oh, God damn it, no.
You know, I never really had a problem with his age, not really being able to tell, because I saw this movie when I was much younger, and that's just the kind of stuff you don't really think about when you're a kid watching this. And so as you grow older, it just continues to be something you don't really think about. But after I hadn't seen the movie in quite a while, and when I was going to, had the opportunity to come on the show, I watched it again. And I was really just taken with the fact that, like, he could probably handle himself out there. If Bruce Wayne was, went through what he went through and still, made his life work as much as that's possible, this kid could probably do it as well. So, but, that's easy for me to say. I never had my entire family die at the hands of a, half-scarred psychopath at a circus.
That's pretty fair. I mean, I didn't really pay attention, I guess, then either. But, pulling up a snapshot of him, too ripped to be a teenager. So that's fair.
Oh, yeah.
It is particularly glaring through the dialogue in this minute, because when Alfred's listing all the things that have happened, at one point he's like, Master Dick has run away. And it's like, he ran away. He's like, he just left. Just get the hell out of my house. Like, what?
Ran away like he's a 13-year-old.
I hate you, Dad. I'm going forever. Bye.
You don't understand.
I'm out of here.
When Alfred calling the police, like, yes, young adopted orphan has ran away. It's like, oh, can you describe him? Like, really ripped, looks about 28 years old.
Jacked.
And he's wearing a single hoop earring. Can't miss it.
Riding a motorcycle. It's like,
I guess I always thought like Chris O'Donnell played a pretty good Robin. I guess like his exuberance was there, and his kind of zeal and excitement and dedication, and so he brought all that over, which I guess is the thing I think about when I think of Robin.
Yeah.
So outside of like the appearance that he's obviously older than they probably would have wanted him to be, and initially. It works for me.
I think
guess.
so. We like him. We make fun of him a lot for the age thing, but I like him in the movie.
yeah, for the performance, I can't fault the guy's performance. Like, no, he's a good actor. He just shouldn't have been him playing the part. But
Yeah.
As I say, we start this with Bruce waking up on the sofa. We've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Tough night in the town. Except this guy's been battered and beaten.
is it the sofa? I thought it was his bed.
Yeah, it might be a bed. I just wanted to make fun of him.
Oh, okay.
You can have a bed in your living room if you're Bruce Wayne.
If you're Bruce Wayne,
Although,
yeah.
actually, now
Actually,
looking
that's a
at
good
it,
point, yeah.
this does look like it's the same set as the living room.
Well, that's what I thought, but at the same time, it looks like a bed he's in. But the room looks like the living room, so I don't genuinely know where this is.
I was kind of thinking of the living room too, but it's Johnny, like you're saying, it's like I can afford a Batmobile, a Batcave, a Batplane, and a bed in my living room. So just add that to the arsenal.
Turns out he's had it all knocked through to make it one giant space, like a studio apartment.
One thing, I'm fairly certain there was some reshooting going on here anyway, because there is like a continuity error. If you notice, when we first see the close-up of Bruce's face as he's waking up, you see right next to him there's embroidered a little BW, presumably for Bruce Wayne.
I saw that, monogrammed in his pillow,
Yeah, and then next shot you see of him, that ain't there anymore. That's just vanished without a trace.
Oh yeah, I never noticed it disappeared.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, because it's on one side of his head too, like it's not all over the place. It's like, is it supposed to be symbolic that he's half Bruce Wayne, so it's only on one half of his head? And then it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they did shoot with him. That was a monogrammed cushion or something on the sofa, and then they've like, we gotta move him to a bed, I guess. And it's like, do we need this?
Because it's a pretty like deliberate prop to have there, and have that prominent in the shot.
Yeah.
So for somebody to just like, I don't know, miss it.
Very odd. I'm fascinated. I can't take my eyes off it now. I'm just clicking through them.
I know. And then I like keep looking at the, I'm a pillow person. So the fact that he has like multiple pillows, I'm like, go off, Bruce Wayne. Thank you. Most people don't. Most people like make fun of you for that. But if it's not him, it's also Alfred's like, but Master Bruce needs to be comfy. Let's get all of the pillows in the house.
I think that's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a very, at least with English people, it's a very old person thing. So that makes sense for Alfred, I reckon. He's like, oh, you need to be comfortable.
He's got like the 5 layers of blankets on top of him.
Yeah, too many blankets. You just,
It is crazy that you see that on like old people's beds, is pillows going down almost all the way to the end of the bed. Like they're just going to fall off if they keep going. My mom is like that. I'm sorry for calling you old, Mom, but...
I'm that person. I am that person.
Yeah.
Hey, you do you.
I love pillows.
A regular Bruce Wayne.
Well, just imagining Johnny now, though, just like taking a picture tonight with her monogrammed pillow, just like, look, me and Bruce Wayne, look what we got in common.
It's
Check it out.
that little this is gonna tangent off, but that scene in Family Guy where Stewie's in his bed and he's like, welcome to Pillow World, Bri. I'm like, that's me.
As Alfred then says, like, how are you, young man? And Bruce says, like, you haven't called me that in a long time. Which is like, well, you've been quite old for about 20 years now, sir. So, of course not.
I found this to be really sweet. I thought you could feel the connection between them right here.
Yeah, is there something behind that moment that I'm not picking up on, or is it just, we get to see young Bruce Wayne in the movie, and I thought it might be some kind of a reference to the fact that, we've been getting so much of young Bruce Wayne, and and then even in some like deleted scenes and other material, they go back on that even more. So I'm wondering if it was just kind of some way to like a callback to that or something, because it is a touching moment, and it's right there in the middle of it, and they put some emphasis on it, and then it's gone, and they never really go back to it. This young man, you haven't called me that in a while. Old habits die hard. It seems like that is something that should be kind of a callback to something else that's happened previous in the script. Maybe not. I don't know. I might be reading way too much into it.
I always just really love any moment between Bruce and Alfred like this, though, where there's a bit of, the formalities get melted away a little bit and stuff. Like, you get the, like the end of Mask of the Phantasm has, like, Bruce really devastated, and Alfred's got the suit jacket off, and he's bending down, like, holding his shoulder and stuff, really talking to him man to man and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is great, because you actually get to see the connection between these two guys when it's not all stiff upper lip.
I agree.
Stuff.
I think the Nolan films did that really well. Kind of the backbone of the movies was him and Alfred's connection. And that's actually a note that I've got is I really like how these movies, the first four anyway, I guess the Burton and Joel Schumacher universe, they continually give Michael Gough, like Michael Gough, whatever his name is, more and more to do. And this movie really has him part of the process and like figuring out the riddles. In fact, I think I don't know if it's this minute or one of the ones that we're doing this week. He's like right there figuring it out right alongside Bruce.
It's one of the things we'll be talking about a lot next season, but like the only like legitimately actually good scenes in Batman and Robin are all about Alfred. Like him and Bruce.
Yeah.
All those scenes are great. They're like, oh, this is like a much better movie now for like 2 minutes. And like, oh no, it's gone again.
Yeah. Somebody should really do just a cut of that. Just take those moments and omit the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
That was
the
Schumacher director cut when he realized what he'd done and he delivered this reel to the studio. It's like, this is 3 minutes long, Joel. You spent like $400 million on this? I like this little moment of Alfred listing all the things to Bruce about like, the cave, I'm afraid they've taken Dr. Meridian. Master Dick has run away, and the cave has been destroyed. And I just like it because it's like, oh, we're in the final act now. We're amping up the thing, so we have to list all the stakes and all the crap that's happened to knock Batman down. And it also really reminds me of like one of my favorite things in Twin Peaks is in the season 2 premiere. Because, there's a whole thing with Agent Cooper's been shot, and then they eventually get him to hospital. And he wakes up, and then he's just like, okay, what did I miss? And because, Twin Peaks is so soapy, everything, like, there was tons of stuff that happened in that previous episode. So Lucy starts listing off, like, well, Leo Johnson's been shot, and the sawmill's been burned down. And she just goes through this list of about 10 things. And Cooper's just kind of baffled and just goes like, how long have I been out? But he's only been out for like 2 hours or something. But it seems as if about like 5 weeks of material has happened. So.
It's like you're saying though. I do like how they raise the stakes in the simplest way you can possibly do it. He lists off like 3 things, one sentence, the most basic dialogue. The cave has been destroyed. Master Dick has run away. They've kidnapped Dr. Meridian. Boom, done. 3rd act.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the 3 biggest things to him. It's like the girl that he's interested-ish in, Dick, his son, adoptive or not, and weirdly old, and then his like place of realization / safe place.
Yeah.
Oh, it's depressing
It
when you put
is.
it all this way.
Very
Jesus.
depressing. Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Great.
Sorry.
And then there's another bloody riddle as well on top of all that.
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes, of course. Yeah, that's the nice little, the end note of the end, there's another riddle.
It's like, oh my God, start with that one though. That's the least bad one on the list, really, when you think about it. It's like, well, you've been getting riddles all week. There's another riddle, and oh yeah, the Batcave's destroyed.
This is like, the Batcave's been destroyed, and there's more junk mail. Like, oh God, damn it.
It's a bunch of bills.
We've got another leaflet from Pizza Parlor.
And you don't end with the bad one. Sorry, you don't end with the not so bad one. You want to like build or do a sandwich. You have good, awful, good.
That's how you give feedback, Alfred. You have to sandwich it for like ease.
You have to sandwich it. Yeah.
Ease it down.
But of course, talking about like earlier, I was saying there might have been some reshooting going on. There definitely is re-editing going on because, as we alluded to there, mere moments ago, there's a big old honking deleted scene that would have come in this minute because I think it's actually when in the scripts and stuff and in the novelization and pretty much every version of Batman Forever except the final film has this scene in it because Alfred ends with and the cave has been destroyed And Bruce is like, what cave? And then we enter into my favorite plotline in anything, an amnesia plotline.
Yeah.
Oh, listeners, you all know how much Niall hates
It's
these.
like, I've never been more thankful that they cut something out of a movie. I imagine, like, 8-year-old me would have been in the cinema going, no, no. It's like, why does anyone want to watch any period of a Batman movie where he doesn't know that he's Batman for a while? Like, why would he do that?
And I'm sure there was a lot of groaning in that theater, should that have happened, been in the movie, because I guess, we'll get to it whenever we talk about it, but there's a pretty big departure from the source material where he realizes it's not his fault, And I liked it. I think it works and everything, but yeah, it's very much like, okay, this is, yeah.
It's melodramatic.
I see where you're coming from.
It's like, it's very soapy. Everybody in a soap opera gets amnesia at some point. It's like a huge plot point. So, like, why are you doing that in a Batman movie?
And at the end of it, like, Alfred's like, and your evil twin brother survived back.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce Bane, whatever his name would be.
Oh, God.
But yeah, of course, that is like the big deleted scene you can get on YouTube, and they have re-edited it, and people put in fan cuts with the Danny Elfman score, they put in fan cuts with the Elliot Goldenthal score, etc., etc. But basically, most people would have even seen pictures of it from it too. It was used in the promotion. The famous shot of Bruce with this giant monstrous bat occurs in this scene, where to jog his memory, Alfred takes him down to the Batcave, and he starts a whole thing about, I can remember a bat and running away and all this other stuff. And you also got another little tender moment between Alfred and Bruce where he calls him son and stuff like that, and it's like, you have to stop running from all these things and all that kind of stuff. Bruce then goes into the section of the cave wherein he actually fell down during the previous flashback he had. His realization that his father's journal entry said, Bruce insists on going to see a movie tonight. And that being the trigger of him being like, oh, it was my fault that my parents were out the night. And it's my fault that they're dead. And so he goes into this little section of the cave again, finds the red book. And, then discovers there's more writing on the parchment. Of course, he starts leafing through. And this is where I have problems now. I don't like this change. Because then Bruce finds out that there were pages stuck together, and his father's last journal entry actually says...
Like in Friends, when Joey makes the... What was it? It's like a...
It was like a half a...
It's like a shepherd's pie.
And like a trifle or something.
A trifle, that's it, yeah.
This was the reason behind Martha Wayne's signature trifle every year. It's half a English custard and half a shepherd's pie. But yeah, so the pages have been stuck together, apparently, and it actually, what his final journal entry actually said is, Bruce insists on seeing a movie tonight, but Martha and I have our hearts set on Zorro. Bruce's cartoon will have to wait until next week, which means that they were going out to see Zorro that night, and that was, his parents wanted to see that. That wasn't his decision, so it's their fault. It's therefore their own fault that they died, I guess. It wasn't.
Oh, so he can rest easy now. It's not his fault.
Yeah, and that's like, well, one of my problems with this is that they took great strains to show, like, they replicated the angle of Jack Napier to go like, look, it's all the same flashback and stuff, and that's the same, the same shooting and all that stuff that you remember from the first movie. They're specifying here that they went to see Zorro, where listeners to Bat Minute 89 will know that they in fact went to see Footlight Frenzy that night.
Footlight Frenzy, that was the minute I was on, and we tried to figure out why Footlight Frenzy.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
What the hell, is it Zorro or Footlight Frenzy? I mean,
yeah. Maybe they got there and Zorro was sold out.
Yeah.
People do that sometimes, don't they? They don't get the ticket in advance. They go, it's sold out, so like, oh, I'll just see something else. I'd be like, no, I'd be so angry I wouldn't be able to see something else. I'd be sitting there just like furious.
I know I went to see, at 10 years old, I went to see A Life Less Ordinary in the cinema twice because Titanic was sold out both times. I went down.
God.
And that was just how big a monster Titanic was back in 97. It was like, went down twice. Even you couldn't ring in advance. That's one of those things. It's like, no, you got to be there.
We always
pick up the ticket.
Yeah.
We would just drive past. That was like a pastime for me and my mom. We would drive past the movie theater because the marquee would have what times and what movies were playing. And if we liked it enough, we'd walk up and get a ticket in advance. But
it's a good idea. You seem to have better cinemas there, though. Like here, we only sort of have ones 99% of the time showing brand new stuff. Whereas I don't know if TV's lying to me, but America seems to have like, oh, here's some old movies as well.
they do it during like daytime. I used to work at a movie theater, so they like in the summertime or like in the daytime when it's less traffic, they'll play like old movies or kids movies or whatever.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'd love that. We do the art cinema we've got here. Fact. Love it there. They sometimes show old ones, but it's like a special event, isn't it?
One time when I was like, I don't know how old I was, obviously before 13, I think I was trying to sneak in to see Rush Hour, but I got so scared that they were going to catch me and like freaking give me the electric chair if they caught me doing it. So I was like, in my nervousness, I got a ticket for Simon Birch and went and saw that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this.
No.
It's kind of connected here because Jim Carrey's in it for like 5 seconds. And I had to sit through Simon Birch, and I tried to do this twice, and both times I chickened out. So I saw Simon Birch twice in the theater by myself at like 12 years old. Hey.
Oh,
right, well, that's a hiatus project then. We're going to review that, and we're going to get you on.
Simon Birch. Yeah, perfect. Good Lord.
But the thing is, what my major problem with this is, though, is that I really liked that the plot line was Bruce Wayne discovers that he is technically responsible for his parents' death.
He thinks it's his fault.
And that's what he's suppressed all these years, is that Batman hasn't actually been like enacting justice upon criminals so much as it's been a form of punishment that Bruce has enacted upon himself. And it's like, yeah, that's great and stuff. And like, you know, Chase Meridian helping him realize that so he can move past it and sort of process it as an adult. That's great. Now you find out that actually, no, it's okay because it wasn't his fault anyway.
Yeah,
and it's
that
like,
does kind of like, yeah.
Because the thing is, even in the commentary and stuff, Joel Schumacher's talking about like, well, you know, wanted to tap into elements like kids blame themselves for their parents' divorces and things like that. There could be kids in the audience who would have related to this plotline had it been there, and they might have had guilt of things like, you know, it does happen where you could be, you know, having a fight with a family member and shout something like, oh, I wish you were dead or something, and then they go out and they actually died or something like that. That's not your fault, but it happens. You know, things like that. This could have been things like you just insisted your parents go out and do something, and then they end up getting killed. It's like, and then you would have that guilt because you were like, well, I wanted to do it, so that's my fault. It's a thing a child would go through. And they would watch this and then be like, well, I related to it up until I found out that it actually totally wasn't this guy's fault anyway. That's good for him. But how does that help me out? Whereas it would have been a better plotline had he... Yeah, it was technically Bruce that insisted, like, they went out and they got killed, and it was him who wanted to do it. But, you know, that's just chance. That's just fate. That's nothing to do with what the kid wanted to do.
See, that's interesting. That would make a really cool movie right there. It just doesn't really fit in this other thing, and I guess that's kind of why they took it. Or like you were saying, Joel Schumacher probably said, like, this might hit way too close to home for our target audience.
The thing that really frustrates, like, the more I thought about it, that really frustrates me about it as well, is that you have the villain of this movie, one of them anyway, is a guy whose whole thing is about chance. And you could have had Bruce's realization the moment he moves past us be that when Two-Face went to shoot him, he saw him flipping the coin, and then, like, he catches it and says, like, oh, I get to shoot this guy. Shoots him. And then Bruce would be like, that's as much of... I had a 50-50 chance, just like anybody does in that situation. So it's not preordained. It's not, you know, this thing wasn't anybody's fault. It was just chance that he flipped the coin and it landed that way. That's what got me in this situation. And that would help him process, like, oh, it was just chance that happened when my parents went out that night because it was just a random killing. Like, it had nothing to do with the gods conspiring against me or it had just been entirely my fault. It was just a freak thing that happened, and I have to move past it. And then you can get to the rest of the scene where he confronts the giant bat and accepts it and goes, no, I'm Batman now. Because he's going to say at the end of the movie, Not because I have to be, but because I choose to be. And like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's that plot line done for my purposes anyway, perfectly well.
It's definitely a lot better than what we get in the film.
Well, in the movie, it's just like, oh, I guess I better go and go fight the Riddler now. And
Yay! No, but I like to annoy my parents by blaming them because when I was a kid, they made me go out and play. I was happy sitting indoors reading my wrestling magazine, and they were like, "What are you doing? It's the summer. You're sitting around the house. Go and play." I went out and I broke my arm.
Oh my God.
So to this day, I like to. I'm like, it was your fault.
That's why your mom and dad are that vigilante team who have been tearing up Gloucestershire for all these years now, John. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
The next time you talk to your dad, you just find out he's like, no, I realize that wasn't my fault years ago, but I'm not Gloucestershire man now because I have to be. It's because I choose to be.
Oh my God! If there's one person who's not a superhero, at least in that sense, it's my dad.
Wow. Speaking of, well, I guess we hadn't moved on to this yet. The whole thing, whenever we cut to the Riddler's like HQ, and he says his little thing, "My jacket keeps me safe when I'm jogging at night. I can't stand it." And the thing that really doesn't work for me in this movie is Jim Carrey. And I know that on the surface, he kind of fits right in with this sort of extreme quality and over-the-topness and everything. But it seems like he's just one toke over the line. He's just one step beyond the rest of the movie, I think. And,
I get that in a way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's also because it's peak Carrey. It's peak mid-90s Jim Carrey, which I couldn't stand. You know, give it a few years and then I could stomach the guy. I thought he started coming around on some stuff, but the Ace Ventura, the Cable Guy was shortly after this.
Yeah,
Well, just a little much for me anyway.
I get it because I hate that line. It keeps me safe when I'm jogging at night because he delivers that like it's going to be like a joke or a pun, but neither of which they're not present. It's not a joke. It's not a pun. Like, so why are you saying it so weird? What the?
And
you can't just tell me like, oh, it's because you're crazy and evil, so you can get away with saying whatever you want or wearing whatever stupid jacket you want.
But it's a fine line, I think, because just before that, he comes out with a line that I love. When he's like, "I'm coming, my sweet." That's great. I don't know what the difference is.
I guess all of it reminds me of like this for his introduction here and then in the next, like bleeding into the next minute. I just get the Mask vibes from his performance, which is like he did it before Batman Forever. And there's like a certain part where he like in the next minute that really just like, wow. I wonder if you pulled that from that movie and just put it here. And it's
I think I know the moment you're talking about.
Yeah, it's too eccentric for me because when I think about Edward Nygma, I think about somebody who's like, yes, over the top, like theatrically smart, but I don't think of it as like as Jim Carrey. I just don't.
No, I totally get that. It's a very different take on this character.
Well, what do you make of like Jim Carrey in general, though, Johnny? Because you're coming from having covered movies starring, I guess, kind of a similar guy, like Mike Myers,
like an
also
eccentric
known
person.
For, like, like plays really flamboyant, cartoonishy kind of characters. But so I'm assuming like you like Mike Myers, but Jim Carrey, is he like? No, that's too much.
It's like hit and miss for me because like even though I said I don't like it like portrayed this way in this movie, but I love The Mask. The Mask has a special place in my heart. I have no idea why. I think it's just because I watch it with my parents all the time. I think it's really funny.
Same.
But I'm not a huge fan of Ace Ventura. It's like weird. It's a roller coaster for me with him.
You know, I never saw The Mask. I've always wanted. It's always been on my list. I've never seen it.
I recommend it. I think
out.
I think it's where he applies his best eccentricism.
Yeah, because it's basically a cartoon, isn't it? And he's doing all this, so it fits right in.
I just really want to set up Brady now to be like, yeah, we're doing a hiatus episode on The Mask. Brady, do you want to come on? And then like send him a link to Simon Birch. Just be like, there you go.
Oh my God. You know, it's I think like The Cable Guy, which came out after this, is probably the follow-up to this. I don't think audiences were ready to see Jim Carrey swan dive to his death, at the end of the movie. And yeah, it's a big one.
It's one of those ones that's definitely come around in recent years, because anytime we've mentioned the Cable Guy on the show, it's always been in a positive light. There's never been anyone come along going like, oh, God, the Cable Guy. Ugh. It's usually from people who are like, oh, it was a pretty good movie, but everybody hated it back in the day. So it
seemed like kind of a turning point. I don't know that you had, like, I know there was a sequel to Ace Ventura or whatever, but like you didn't really have any more Ace Ventura type of Jim Carrey movies. He went in the direction of The Truman Show, which I think is a phenomenal movie. I didn't see Man on the Moon. I heard it was so-so, but
I love that as well.
Is it good?
Oh, it is good, yeah.
It's also on the list of stuff I need to check out. But ever since then, I've been kind of okay with Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey movies. I think it was that height Jim Carrey, mid-90s Jim Carrey that had to end, in order for us to see him work all the way up to what was just Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like a cocaine dream, like the 90s for him. I feel like it was just like, this is his peak. He hit it, and now he's like, I'm getting older. I should probably calm down a little bit, do some other things, maybe some kid movies, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, all of that.
It's a good move, to be honest, because...
You said do some other things. I thought you were going to start naming other drugs.
Just
instead
weed.
of
do like a calming
dream.
one. Just smoke weed. It's fine.
Yeah, just smoke some weed.
Horse tranquilizers.
Yeah, just freebase a little bit,
But he was the biggest star at the time, wasn't he? For like a brief period, he was like the biggest guy there was. And now, like I would say, a lot of those movies, people would think they've not aged well at all.
Yeah.
They don't hold up. You don't hear people talking about them now, really.
Yeah. It's one of those things you could put them in the same vein as like, hey, remember how everyone used to like Pauly Shore for a while?
Oh my gosh.
Everybody despises Pauly Shore. How come that didn't happen with Jim Carrey? Because it's the same kind of thing. Like,
I love Pauly Shore.
Really? Oh, well. Sorry about that, Johnny.
No, you're fine. It's just like it's again a roller coaster thing, but I think I like Pauly Shore better than I like Jim Carrey sometimes.
It could be though. At the same time, maybe it's just the Pauly Shore movies to most people don't stand up because they're just like, oh, they were never really funny. But Jim Carrey, The Mask is at its heart, it's still a good movie. He elevates it because he's doing a lot of the work with the performance. But I think if you had someone else in The Mask, it wouldn't be as good a movie, but it'd still be a good movie. It's still got a lot going for it.
But we all have those movies that we personally think don't hold up. Other people might love them. Me and Mel Brooks, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it at all.
You're just gunning for a spot on the Wilder ride, John. Just going to take that podcast down from the inside.
I'm surprised they haven't invited me on just to either berate me or make me defend my position.
I think the one time I was on, I was saying that Alan was like, you should get John on it. Oh, he hates him. You should just mix things up for a while.
Yeah, I hate Gene Wilder. Don't like Mel Brooks.
I kind of see where you're coming from with the Mel Brooks thing. It might be like if we had seen it in the day, it probably we would have connected more with it. But there is something about watching it nowadays that if you don't, I don't quite know what people are seeing in it. That it's this like thing that they just, like, oh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's cool. I'm glad you get that out of it. I wish I could see that as well, but I just don't. I watch Blazing Saddles, and I'm not really entertained by it.
It's moderately okay. I suppose it's like kids now, though, right? Like some people, sort of in their 30s and stuff, might be like, "Oh, I love Jim Carrey. They were the movies I watched when I was a kid. They were all great." But you show them to a kid now, and they'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, well, it's like I think about watching The Mask. If you take it and make like I don't know, like an 8-year-old watch it now. I don't think we should have been watching it.
No, it's quite dirty. Actually,
it kind of. Likewise, when I think about The Mask, in the same turn of the coin, I think of Roger Rabbit. So it's like they're the same kind of vein of like, oh, it's Technicolor, it's like a cartoon, but then you watch and you're like, oh, this is not for children. Like, no.
But I loved them as a kid.
Me too. Me too.
So the other day, so my niece now is because of everyone been kind of shut inside. She's been getting more into movies. Like she was never fussed before, but she went through a big stage there where she got really into Tom Hanks movies. Like she absolutely loved. She had a bit of a crush on Tom Hanks. Like she kept emphasizing young Tom Hanks, and then she's like, yeah, like The Terminal. I'm like, That's still middle-aged
Young.
man, Tom.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
What a weird reference. How old is she?
She's 10. She just
a
turned 10
little
the other
kid.
week.
To be referencing The Terminal of all
Is
things.
she just like going through a back catalog of Tom Hanks movies? Like, oh, I have to watch all of them.
What 10-year-old has watched The Terminal?
I think it was like a movie train. I think her and her mom watched, I think it was Big, and she's like, oh, I really like that guy. And then they're like, well, what other Tom Hanks movies are readily available on Netflix? The Terminal.
Oh.
But I think my brother then was talking about like, oh, I should start showing him like, oh, some Jim Carrey movies and stuff to see, because like, you know, he's for kids. And then he's like, oh, like Dumb and Dumber, and I was like, he's like, there's nothing dirty in Dumb and Dumber, is there? And I was like, Dumb and Dumber is nothing but dirty jokes. Like, it's a miracle I got to see that as a kid, because it is every scene there's stuff like there's a point where it looks as if Jim Carrey is going to be sexually assaulted, and that's played as a joke in the movie. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy that you would not get away with making that movie now. Like, it would be torn out of cinemas on a rail.
What's funny you say that, just in terms of like context, is what movie we're seeing this in. Whenever I was doing Goonies Minute, my co-host and I were talking about the scene where they're taking Chunk, the Fratellis, and to get the answers out of him, they're going to shove his hand in a blender, and you get a screaming child begging, please don't do it, and these adults are just like, come on, put his hand in the thing. And I'm like, if we're laughing when we see this, but if you put this in the middle of Seven, David Fincher's Seven, you wouldn't, like, nothing would change. It's just context of everything else that's around it in the movie, and the fact that Steven Spielberg's name is on the poster, like, what makes it different? What changes that? Like, whenever Seabass goes in the bathroom stall and finds Jim Carrey cowering, what is any different than having seen that in some R-rated, super edgy movie?
Yeah.
That's
Well, in
always
our day,
fascinated
kids
me.
were tougher.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I do really want to see a version of Seven where instead of John Doe walking into the police station behind them with like the bloody fingertips, it's Ma Fratelli. I think you're looking for me.
Oh, we get another bit I love though in the minute here, because Chase says Batman will come for me, and it flips again. I love Jim Carrey's delivery when he's like, Batman, because this is what I like. It's kind of silly and mocking, but also kind of scary. You're like, oh, this guy is unhinged.
Well, we'll say one thing. Just throwing Jim Carrey to the wolves a bit, particularly with you, Brady. But like the like the jacket, it keeps me safe when I'm jogging at Nightline. That is a Carrey improv, and specifically because according to the costume designer Bob Ringwood, who's the first two movies and stuff, he says it was Jim's idea to have his suit light up, of course, and then we only had 8 days to make that, and it nearly killed us.
Oh, wow.
So I think it was Jim Carrey came up with this idea, like, oh, you should have like a light up jacket. And I'm thinking that actually links back to a thing we talked about like way ages ago when Jim Carrey was talking about he based the Riddler on Elvis. He was like, when Elvis came
Even though
in.
this is a Hugh Hefner look.
Yeah, well, I think he was talking about like, when Elvis in the Vegas years when it was all rhinestones and glitz and stuff, and he was trying to dress himself up to make the persona bigger. I guess
Crap Elvis, basically, not proper Elvis.
But I can kind of see that here. It's like, oh yeah, this Riddler. It's almost like a rhinestone, glow in the dark jacket he's got going. Like, I get that there, but apparently I guess Jim Carrey had enough clout on set to be like, yeah, he should have his jacket should light up like this, and then they were like, go make that. We shoot in 8 days time. Like,
well, I've got a new thing I want in the movie now, right? Knowing this information, I think as he takes on more knowledge and whatnot, he should start increasing in size. So he should be absolutely huge, like large Vegas Elvis was. And in fact, a bit like Apocalypse Now. He should be sort of shot in shadows, like Brando.
Yeah.
it could be. That one, The thing is, you find out then, like, oh, Jim Carrey pitched that to them, and they were like, no. let's not say we did,
Yeah. Let's not do that. Get out of here, Mr. Brando.
I have to wonder though, like Chase here on this, the feng shui in the Riddler's lair, all over the place here. This random friggin' couch just out in the middle of the floor, just like, is it pointed at anything? Is there a screen in front of it? It looks like it's just staring at the stairs. Like, it's just like, well, that's.
I think to make it more 90s, though, it should have been an inflatable piece of furniture.
Yes.
That was all the rage.
Is it supposed to be a psychiatrist's couch? Because it looks kind of like that. Is that the joke? That's
he stole it from Arkham or something. Reupholstered it.
Oh yeah. No, I think it is. I think because look, the left arm, like our right, that's different to the one near her. That's more like a pillow kind of shape. Back to pillows again.
So this was his, like, all I know about this woman is that she's a psychiatrist. So I guess she likes psychiatrist couches. I made one for her. Like, I got one brought in.
That's thoughtful of him.
You know, it's something I was glad they didn't go some angle that went with this movie, was the fact that the villain didn't have a thing for, or was romantically interested in the damsel in distress. Whereas, like, it almost seems obligatory in some movies for that to just be a thing, and it doesn't really matter. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Belloc apparently has a thing for Marion, and it's never really established, and I don't think it really matters that much. And the Joker, it has a thing for Vicky Vale in the first movie, and I don't remember that ever being shown his interest. I mean, I guess because, he wanted her to photograph his crimes and everything, but like this movie, it just seems like they would have included something like that, and they didn't. And I'm glad they didn't, because it just would have gotten in the way. There's just so much already going on in this movie.
You'd say that, Brady. That was a thing that was originally in the movie that they they had like there's random little snippets of scenes where like they'll have bits of like the Riddler sitting, while he's getting all the box brainwaves in, and he'll be sitting looking at pictures of Chase Meridian and stuff. Like it's supposed to be implied that he does have a thing for her. And I guess it's just because, well, she's Bruce Wayne's girlfriend. He wants to be Bruce Wayne, so therefore he wants Bruce Wayne's girlfriend as well.
That works. Yeah, that's a valid reason right there. Probably would have slowed down the rest of the movie, but that's like wanting to possess everything that Bruce Wayne has kind of makes sense. It's not that cool, but it kind of makes sense. Whereas, like I was saying, the Joker in the first movie is just like, where did that come from? It almost feels like it's there because it has to be there. So
the Joker in the first movie is just like, you randomly come across a photo of her, and it's like, that just coincidentally happens to be Bruce Wayne's current love interest. It's a good thing it wasn't a picture of some random stranger. Like, it could have been anybody. But yeah, that's the what do you guys actually? Because he does ask, like the jacket. I am very pro this jacket. I think it's a good look. I was never a big fan of just the onesie leotard on the Riddler, so I would have preferred if he had this on, like maybe not friggin' lighting up all the time.
Yeah, he can't look like Hugh Hefner for most of the film.
Yeah.
But I would have think I'm very pro. I think this is a good look for this guy.
Yeah, it works in the movie. It's definitely cooler than the white leotard thing he's wearing at the end, which I still can't figure out what that's all about. And the haircut. What is going on there?
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, this kind of like all I got for this minute in particular. Do you guys have anything else about minute 97 you want to bring up? Or
That's
it for me.
That's it for me.
Because on the Monday episode now, just in celebration of the Riddler and whatnot, we pose a riddle to the guests to see if you can have a crack at it. So, are you two ready for Riddle Me This?
Let's do it.
All right. Riddle me this. How many sides has a circle?
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Do we have to answer now, or we answer Friday?
I think it's kind of better to answer Friday because it gives people like a lot of time in the week. I think initially we had it like, answer whenever you want, and then it was like, it's kind of more fun for people throughout the week to be speculating. So
because even the most obvious and easiest thing, I'm still gonna need till Friday to figure it out, because that's just how my Neanderthal brain works. So
don't worry, I have to guess them as well, and I'm terrible. I think I got one, maybe two.
Now, where do you get this? Do you come up with them yourself, or?
Oh God, no. No, it's literally just looking up riddles online. Like there's no trick to it. It's like, I wouldn't be anywhere near as intelligent enough to come up with these.
Don't ruin the fun though, everybody. Not just you guys, but the listeners.
Yeah.
The listeners as well. Don't ruin the fun and look it up.
Yeah. Not at all.
Because you could probably find it, but that you're just cheating yourself, really. It's like people who play Grand Theft Auto and put all the cheats on because they just want to run around and kill people. You're cheating yourself. You can have fun for 5 minutes, but are you having fun for 5 months? No, you're not.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will now head off into the dark, dark night. Would you both like to plug your various shows and whatnot? Johnny, you go first.
You can catch me on Austin Powers Minute. Just wrapped up The Spy Who Shagged Me, and then I don't know when this is coming out, but we'll be doing Wonder Woman Minute on DCEU Minute. So that'll be coming out very soon.
Hey. And Brady?
The minute shows that I've done are, already done at this point, but there's Jurassic Park Minute, Ghostbusters Minute, and Goonies Minute. And they're all out there online for you to go for your listening pleasure, but they've all been done for a few years now, each of them. So,
but if people haven't heard him, there's no harm in going and checking them out now.
That's right, yeah.
And in fact, I brought you up on the Patreon show that just released as of recording this morning, because we were talking about maybe getting our friend to send us some snacks in the mail, because they're only available in Australia. And I was like, well, we could eat them on air, like on Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Minute.
God. Oh, no, man. Here's the thing. For anybody who wants to do a minute show, just make sure you pick your co-hosts like really, really, really well.
Or just don't
selected
have
my
them.
brother. Or just don't have them, yeah. Selected my brother to do it, and he's older than me, so I can't really say no to his ideas because he's meaner, And he wanted to review potato chips and Twinkies and all this stuff, and I'm
love it.
I just have to go with it. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, you get to eat, but somebody sent in something saying please, you lost me whenever you started chewing chips right in front of the mic. There's no part of that was enjoyable, so I left the show. I never went back. So, okay.
They don't understand art.
Yeah, I did it for my art, man.
Oh, but on that wonderful bombshell, yes, we will head off. Come and speak to us at the Bat-Minute Listeners Cave on Facebook, Twitter at Bat-Minute, and come and check out the aforementioned Patreon. Give us your money, and, it goes towards the show, and you get bonus stuff. You get bonus lovely episodes and whatnot, and maybe we're looking at doing a few more soon, with the world the way it is, to keep you all entertained.
Yeah.
So do that, and we will see you again on Wednesday for more Bat-Minute Forever.
Next time, holy Twilight graffiti! A shackled psychologist is briefed about being bait by a baffling reprobate fueled by brainwaves and hate. But as a bat emblem is turned emerald above the city's towers, can a capeless crusader and his servant resolve the secret hidden within several sinister ciphers? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, a different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.